and welcome to SatTV. I'm pleased to be joined by Nick Howland, Sales Manager at Printech Circuit Laboratories. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Richard.
Let me start by asking you, who and what is Printech?
Well, Printec originally formed in 1980 is a subcontract fabricator of printed circuit boards. It was set up as a spin-off out of the Marconi Group. And for many years, we produced standard circuit board products for the aerospace and defense sector. And then as time's gone on, we've specialized in certain different technologies to create, change our position within the marketplace as that market in aerospace and defense has changed along with it. So we now specialize much more in RF type products and microwave products rather than the standard printed circuit boards that people will know that we call the green and white.
You mentioned that you cover a range of high-tech sectors, but why the space sector?
The space sector itself, we'd always done a little bit of work for, and it tends to be project based, so you'd get a lovely big order that come in one part of the year and then see nothing else for another two. So it was always something we dibbled and dabbled with and thought, well, this is interesting work, but I'm not sure we ever made a lot of money at it, and it was never really considered a major part of our business. However, about 7 years ago, just over 7 years ago, we got involved with we were involved in the Gaia Project, which is a big satellite that was the cameras were produced by E2V, which is local to us, now part of the Teledyne Group, and we produced all the flexi terminals for that, and they were very difficult, and it was a 3-year program, and we put a lot of resources into it, and we thought, well, we better go and have a look at the rest of the space sector and see what else is out there. And it's just at the time that the new space market was emerging.
You talk about new space, there's a lot of people in the space sector. What makes Printech unique?
Printech's uniqueness is really the fact that we don't just design and make. So the main product we have for the new space market is a printed antenna, and they're small and they're patch antennas, and they fit with the small satellites, the micro satellites, the mini satellites, because they're small. And the one big advantage we have compared to the rest of our competitors is the fact that we have this manufacturing facility, which means that we can not only design, develop, but we can also manufacture in a very short period of time. So rather than have a design and then have to put it out to somebody, that's the easy part for us. The actual manufacturing is a sort of like a 10-day cycle, whereas most other companies that we compete with will do a design and then have to find someone to make it for them. And we do have that bit of a lead in that if we've got something to make, we can do the whole thing within 30 days.
Now, you mentioned the printed antenna. Why is that particularly suited to the small satellite community?
Basically because they are small and flat, planar, something that could be bunged on the outside and bolted on the outside of a small satellite. And there are various different types of antennas with people operating in different frequencies and different requirements dependent upon what they're allowed to do. So what we compete with, originally we were competing with satellite dishes, and obviously a big satellite dish is no good to a small satellite supplier or anybody trying to run a small satellite. So what they were doing, everything was done with an aerial. And aerials are okay and still used today in low frequency applications because the antennas would be too big, but they're what they call omnidirectional. And an omnidirectional antenna spreads the signal out everywhere, whereas a small patch will direct it towards a particular point. So if you're pointing your antenna, more data, more connectivity, etc., 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 and they're small. So but we do build some big parts as well. We've just recently completed a VHF antenna that's 1 meter squared, but the majority of our work are small, little antennas, and we deliberately make them small and little and deliberately make them simple so that people can just bolt them to the outside of their spacecraft, connect it with an SMA cable, and you're ready to run.
Looking at the space sector again, what else can Printech offer? I mean, things are changing very quickly. I mean, the market is evolving so quickly, you can hardly keep up with it. But you must be already looking to the future.
Yes, we are. And I mean, I think that our initial viewpoint was that we'd build these antennas. We'd have an S-band one, a C-band one, a Ka-band antenna, all sitting on the shelf and go to people, how many do you want? However, the space market, as you're probably aware, is never quite as simple as that. And everybody says, oh, yeah, I like that S-band one, but, and there's always a but, because they need to get more performance out of it. So we're forever on in that particular market with our antennas. We're either making them smaller and more efficient using different materials and different techniques, or we're making them lighter so that there's less payload to worry about, or we're changing the way that the connectors are fitted to make it easy for them just to plug it in and work with. But I said earlier on that we wanted to make it simple. And one of the things that we didn't get involved with originally is anything that is deployed. Obviously, a deployment is a risk, and we thought we'll steer clear of that. However, we're now looking at deployable parts just to increase the performance. We're looking at antennas that should be 1 meter squared, for example, or 0.5 meter squared, that we're now looking at making them 150 millimeters square, but we're using the height as a performance, because it's all about the physics. So we are looking at that, and we still operate now with doing flexibles, as we've always done, flexi rigid type circuit board, but they're more of a subcontract rather than a design house. And our design house is the bit that we're being particularly growing, and we feel that that's the area that's going to be important to Printec in the future. So
looking forward, what's the biggest challenge to operating in the space sector?
I think the biggest challenge at the moment is really whether there enough companies are out there that can actually turn the idea into a good business model. From what we see, and we see the changes, is that originally all these little small startup companies, we were selling 1 to them, 2 to them, 3 to them, and it's changing, as you know, in that you've got these intermediary bus builders where they're building, I don't know, 50, 60 different spacecraft on a theme every year for different applications. And the biggest challenge we have with that is being able to change an initial design into something that's slightly different each time. So we don't get a huge repeatable business. We tend to get a change of a variation of a theme. So for example, when we first started it, we'd get like, I don't know, 1 inquiry a quarter. We now get 2 a day.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
It's a big difference. So we've changed. So the design part has become a bigger part to our business, Richard. And originally we had 1 designer. We've now got 3, 2 specialist antenna, 1 mechanical, and without having all that knowledge and software packages and so on. So we no longer just become a production facility for someone else's ideas. We now have the ability to offer a solution to people, which is what we've always done. However, this time it's truly ours, truly our idea, and if it fits with what they want, then great.
And finally, what are the future plans for the company? More space or other sectors?
Well, at the moment, what we've really been trying to do is that our business is built in really has 3 sectors. One is the space sector. Second is probably military work, which we will continue to do. And the third one is on the RF and microwave type of thing. So we build circuitry for power amplifiers, and I don't see that ever going away because it is so specialist. There's only a few of us in Europe doing it, so we will continue to do that. The key is getting the balance right. If I can get the balance right from the number of sales that we make in those 3 sectors, it becomes a very good business for us throughout. But like all these things, you know, the space sector in the last 2 years has gone absolutely mental, and it's very good work for us, and we want to build that, but we want to build that to be that third of our business that's sustainable. And as we grow Printec, that will become a bigger part of our business, I'm sure.
Well, Nick, it's been interesting talking to you. Thank you very much.
Glad you thought so, Richard. Thank you very much.